Foul demon, face the vengeance of the Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, issue number 3. That is right, folks. We are back with this really interesting book. You know, I have been mixed on this current iteration. I think there is way more positive than there is negative. But again, I think it's good for new readers. It's friendly to old readers, but it just doesn't quite hit the level that I've been wanting it to. And maybe it's just like all of the overdramatic vampire stuff. But I will say this, issue 3 is the best issue by far. It is the strongest, it is the coolest, and if I had to wager a theory, I would say that the Hunter's Moon arc and that idea of the character and a lot of the notions that are brought up in this issue are what got Jed MacKay the job. Because this is both acknowledging everything about Moon Knight beforehand and simultaneously showing you how he is rooted in the Marvel Universe and just showing what he can do on his own in a new era. So let's get into this book. We open up with a beautiful splash page. We see that Moon Knight is talking to his therapist. He's like, I have an enemy. I don't know who it is. Somebody, told Leonard Hawley before I killed him. They were coming to break me. And I want to know who it is. I don't like having my enemies move against me behind the scenes. And his therapist, of course, goes, well, you're kind of used to that. And, even with big organizations and these different people controlling you, like the committee and, the Society de Sadis and all that stuff, you're kind of used to these things. And you're kind of calling me here because you want to know if I'm your enemy, isn't it? And, your last therapist when you were in, the... What hospital was he in? Something like that. He's like, she's thinking, you want to know if I'm your enemy. And he's like, honestly, doctor, my fear is that I am. And again, that's just Moon Knight. You don't have to explain it. The guy's just crazy enough where he is his own worst enemy. And I don't think you have to elaborate on that in the slightest. So we cut to later sometime. Mr. Knight has left the therapy's office. Reese walks in to talk to him. She's like, you son of a gun. I know you spared me and those 3 other guys when we returned to vampires for some reason, but why the hell are you backing up on it now, okay? And she pulls out this crescent that she found in the house of, I think it was Ted, one of the guys that was turned. She's like, you came for him, you scared him, what were you doing? What is the point of that? You pretended to trust us for some unknown reason, now you're just going back on what you said? And he's like, first off, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what this is. And it does look like my crescent, but it's not mine. So I'm going to get to the bottom of what this is. We just see him patrolling the night one time. Very cool just seeing all of the artwork depicting the moon and all that stuff. It's just gorgeous. Very nice crescent moon in the sky. There's a moon logo on the side of the building to show you that this is Moon Knight's territory. This is his midnight mission. He's just trying to talk to Reese, who's on the intercom. She's like, yeah, I'm here, boss, man. It's things are getting weird down here. But we'd see that in the night sky, headed down to attack Marc Spector, is the Hunter's Moon. And he just punches Mark in the face, and they get into a really good brawl. Now, I love a good issue dedicated to a fight scene, I think especially with a character like Moon Knight, because it just works so well, it looks so cool. But the dialogue in this scene is really strong and very impressive. And again, this is where I'm like, Jed MacKay just gets what he's doing with this character. And instantly Mark knows that it's Dr. Badir. He's not even pretending like it's anybody else. He knows who it is. And I love it. Badir's like, how arrogant you must be to think that our God only has one fist. He has 2, Marc Spector. Even a man has 2 fists. And how dumb you think that our God wouldn't have 2. The right hook, the left hook. You got both of them, of course. So they just get into a nice brawl. And it's so interesting to see, the fight style. It's just so cool because you get this idea of Hunter's Moon being this more, professional fighter. He's getting, the more proper stances. But, of course, we know Mark is a brawler. He's coming for the heavy hits and doing these interesting things, Mark asks about why he sent Holly and what the idea of Holly was for all that, but Holly is not connected to what Hunter's Moon is doing, which is slowly setting up. There's an overarching villain we're seeing here. We saw the solicitations for issue 6. There was a villain that has been plaguing Mark for a while now. I'm not gonna say, well, okay, I don't really want to talk about who this overarching villain could be so early into the book. I will say this. If there is an overarching villain, my guess is going to be that it's Khonshu. That's all I'm going to say. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's very fascinating. And the fight scene looks good. You know, like Capuccio's artwork is so beautiful to look at. The colors are fantastic. And we just see like, okay, Marc's getting his ass kicked. He's falling off the side of the building and crashes down to the dumps. And it's very interesting because after this like crash down and they're still fighting, we see that Badir is like, what is wrong with you? What? I'm not even referring to like your stupidity and your softness towards the vampires, but like, what is up with the way you fight? Like, you're a fist of Khonshu, but there's no beauty in the way you move. Everything you do is just raw and aggressive and stupid. And Marc's like, yeah, what do you mean beauty? You think there's beauty in anything we do? And Badir's like, of course there is. You know, haven't you got, like, bestowed all this stuff from, like, the previous minds of the Moon Knights? Didn't Khonshu, like, grant you the ability to think of these things? To see the past lives, the way they fought and the way they betrayed? And I'm like, I guess it's too crowded in that head of yours anyways. I love that line. Because it could play into like, oh, Khonshu always knew this guy was a loose cannon, so he didn't give him these things. Or it's just like, this is a tactic that Badir is doing to scare Marc into thinking something. But I love it. I'm just going to keep saying I love it because this is the best part of the book so far. And Marc just goes, all Khonshu gave me was my miserable life back. And brain damage. And my duty. And I'm just like, that's so great. You got Badir here who has been given all this stuff supposedly from Khonshu, just like the history of the Moon Knight, of the Hunter's Moon, of their fighting style, of their purpose, of the fish of Khonshu. And then all you get from Marc is just like this broken, damaged man who is now set out in a way that's not even his to control anymore. It's just part of his identity, and this is what he becomes. So he kind of takes down Marc. He's like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to make you everything that a Moon Knight should be, and to do that, I'm going to start by taking out the distractions in your life. So we just cut back to the room where we see that Reese is with the other vampire men. They're all kind of talking around, having a good time, but suddenly Hunter's Moon breaks through and they all start to attack him, and it's not looking very good. Like, these vampire men are about to die. We see that he's got a stake and he's ready to stab it through one of them, but swinging, oh, it's beautiful. Swinging through the building with a baseball bat just happens to be Marc Spector, and he starts beating his head down. It's amazing. I love it. I'm going to say the lines that Marc says here when he's beating him up with a baseball bat. Cute trick. Khonshu downloading dead men's memories into your head. Makes you fight real fancy, but you never earned it. Not like I did. Through a lifetime of busted knuckles and broken bones and bloody horror. No, at the end of the day, you're just a doctor. Dancing in borrowed shoes. And while he's saying that, he's beating the shit out of Badir with a baseball bat, and it is so cool. And even the vampires are like, what are we watching? This guy's a lunatic. I love it. He's like, you know what? I might be crazy, and I might be a fool, but I think the best thing that you're going to learn here is the reason I'm keeping you alive. And know this, before you decide to come after frightened children under my protection again, whomever or whatever they might be, you better have what it takes to kill me for good. Because when I come back, and I always do, I'll do you like they did Osiris. They'll never find your pieces. So go, Fist of Khonshu, drag yourself from my temple, and avoid my attention in the future, lest I become even more interesting. What a strong ending. And again, I said at the beginning, that is the stuff. That right there is what makes Jed MacKay get this character. It is why he got this book. Because Hunter's Moon, so clearly like in that MCU wheelhouse where it's like a bigger version of the guy that's the hero, but he's darker and he's just the same, but he's a little bit bigger. And he's like, no, Hunter's Moon is a character. He's the other Fist of Khonshu. He's a guy who sees what Marc is doing and hates it. He doesn't like the way Marc is treating this world, the way Marc is representing the Fist of Khonshu, the way he's representing his god. And he's like, dude, you're terrible at this. Let me show you what you're doing wrong. But again, Marc, he could, again, this is why it's so brilliantly written. Marc could be seen as literally, this guy is terrible, Hunter's Moon is bullshit, and your whole thing is bullshit. Or Marc Spector is the outlier when it comes to the Fist of Khonshu. He could be the one that is like, you know, the wild child son who can't really connect to the other kids. And it could be portrayed either way how you want to look at it, because we haven't explored that much side of like the lore in like, you know, previous iterations of this stuff where it's like all focused on Khonshu's history. But this is just like, Moon Knight is either seriously crazy and he is right about the way Khonshu manipulated this guy to think he's special, or this guy really is special and Moon Knight's the one that's, you know, crazy. And that is just absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It is just well written, well drawn. Everything about this book is kind of what I've been waiting for from Moon Knight. I like the first 2 issues. They're very strong. They are very compelling stuff. But this one sells it for me. This makes me go, all right, Jed McKay, you stay on this book for a while. I'm really happy that the first issue went on to its 3rd printing. Give me more of this, please. This was incredible. And this is why I love Moon Knight. This is why you can take a D-list character from Marvel Comics and experiment him with any kind of genre, and it can still work perfectly, because this is so different than a lot of other books. It's got similar beats, but so different than a lot of other stuff, and there's genuinely nothing else like it on Marvel stands right now, because it's not trying to be this colorful MCU piece. It's like, hey, we might actually be making this character dark in the MCU. Let's give you a dark Shakespearean tragedy of kind of like 2 brothers warring against their father's approval, how one is reckless, one is like the chosen son, but which one does the father love more? Who really knows? It's amazing. You throw in the vampire stuff and a baseball bat, you have an incredibly well-written book, and one of the best things that Moon Knight has done recently. I love this issue. I love what it represents, and I cannot wait to see what's coming next week, or next month, I should say, because Tigra is on the cover for issue 4. We're going to have so much fun with that one, because I have a lot to say on that topic. I cannot wait to get into it. So Moon Knight, issue number 3, I am going to give a 10 out of 10. I expect we'll see more 10 out of 10s coming from this series, but as it stands, this is the best issue in the run so far. So thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.